Good morning. So we're going to start this morning by talking about science. Science, you have a test today on food chains. I sent it on Sunday, but I also sent it to your parents last night so they could pull it off by themselves. Please complete that test. You can either write the answers on notebook paper and just take one picture and send it to me, or you can use the paper if your parents printed it out and you can mark your answers and send it to me. Now, on these, you only need one answer, okay? So don't mark 2 or 3 things. It's only one answer, all right? Try not to use your notes. I want you to try to do this without your notes, all right? So today you have a science test on food chains. Is everybody clear on that? All right, that has to be sent to me. All right, let's look at math from yesterday. Some of you were having problems with it. All you were doing was dividing. Let's look at numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. It gave you what to divide it by. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. That was number 1. Number 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Number 3. 12 divided by 3 was 4. 6 divided by 3 was 2. Number 4. 40 divided by 10 was 4. 100 divided by 10 was 10. Okay, then on 5 through 18, it gave you blanks and you had to figure out what they were dividing by. So if you look at 5, they've got, yes.
Do you mean 5 through 8? I'm not lost of track. Can you repeat all of that?
5 through 8, yes.
Which page are you on?
We're on page 433, the homework from yesterday. All right, number 5. 100 divided by something equals 4. If you think about it, you would figure out that 100 divided by 25 equals 4. If I divide by 25 on the bottom, I have to divide by 25 on the top. So 25 divided by 25 is 1. So on 5, you would have gotten 1 over 4. Number 6. It gave you the 8 divided by something equals 2. 8 divided by 4 equals 2. So 12 divided by 4 equals 3. Again, whatever you do to the top, you must do to the bottom. Number 7. You're dividing them both by 10. So the first 2 blanks were 10 over 10. 70 divided by 10 is 7. 100 divided by 10 is 10. Number 8, you're dividing by 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 10 divided by 2 is 5.
Can you repeat number 6?
2 over 3. All right, then 9 through 16. I told you.
I don't have it.
Okay, well, you're just going to have to follow along the best you can. All right, 9 through 16. I told you on 9 to divide by 25. So 75 divided by 25 is 3. 100 divided by 25 is 4. So you would have gotten the answer 3 over 4. It's page 433. 433. All right, then I told you on 10 through 16 to divide them by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. You would have gotten 2 over 5. 10 over 12 divided by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So you'd have gotten 5 over 6. Please leave your mics muted. All right, number 12. 200 over 100 divided by 2. 2 goes into 200 100 times. 2 goes into 100 50 times. So you've gotten 100 over 50. Number 13, 24 over 10. 24 over 10. You would have gotten...
Isn't it 24 over 100?
I'm sorry, 24 over 100. You would have gotten 24 divided by 2 is 12. 100 divided by 2 is 50. Again, 24 divided by 2 is 12. 100 divided by 2 is 50. Number 14, 60 over 12. Dividing them both by 2. 60 divided by 2 is 30. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So you had 30 over 6. Number 15, 84 over 100. You're dividing them both by 2. 84 divided by 2 is 42. 100 divided by 2 is 50. And number 16, 70 over 10. Divide them both by 2. 70 divided by 2 is 35. And 10 divided by 2 is 5.
Miss Blackmon,
Yes.
I got 3 over 5
On what?
on number 16.
Nope. It would have been 35 over 5. All right, yes.
What was number 8?
9 over 5.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. All right, 17 through 24, I kind of left it up to you what you wanted to divide by. I said to divide it by 2, and then you get to decide on one to divide it by. So, on 17, 500 over 100, if I divide them by 2, I get 250 over 50. 250 over 50. 4 over 12. If I divide both the top and bottom by 2, I get 2 over 6. 2 over 6. Number 19, 30 over 10. Divide by 2. I get 30 divided by 2 is 15. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Number 20, 60 over 100. Divide both the top and bottom by 2. 60 divided by 2 is 30. 100 divided by 2 is 50. Number 21, 50 over 10. Divide both the top and bottom by 2. I get 25 over 5. Number 22, 6 over 12. If I divide both of them by 2, I get 3 over 6. 3 over 6. Number 23, 12 over 8. Divide both the top and bottom by 2. I get 6 over 4. 6 over 4.
Miss Blackmon?
Yes.
For number 21, I mean, not 21, 23, I got, wait, were you just on number 23?
Yep.
I got confused because,
23 was 6 over 4.
okay.
All right.
Alright.
24, 18 over 6. If I divide them both by 3, I get 9 over 3. 9 over 3. Now, you were supposed to figure out something else to divide those by to get a different fraction.
Wasn't it 2? Divide by 2, not 3?
I'm sorry, divide by 2. Yes, it'd be 9 over 3. All right, so on 17 through 24, you were supposed to figure out another number that you could divide those by and get another equivalent fraction. I'm not going to go over all the equivalent fractions you could have gotten. There are so many of them that I'm not going to go over them all. All right. For today, we're moving to 8.5, which is comparing fractions. Comparing fractions. All right, I hope you can all see this little show. I'm going to play it for you so that you can see what it's talking about as far as fractions and how to compare them.
Grammarly does more than catch errors. With Grammarly, you can find really good.
I can't hear it.
Hi there, welcome to Math Antics. In this video, we're going to learn how to compare fractions.
I can't hear it
This
either.
fraction has
Me too,
25%
I
more
can't hear it.
fiber than this fraction. Ooh, but this fraction has trisodium phosphate. Well, it's not quite like that. Comparing fractions just means telling which one is
Can you
bigger.
hear it now?
You know, just like we do with
No.
regular numbers.
All right,
where
watch
we
it.
use the greater than, less than, and equal to signs. That sounds easy, right? But unfortunately, unlike regular numbers, it's not always easy to tell which fraction is bigger just by looking at them. That's because the value of a fraction depends on both the top and bottom numbers and how they relate to each other. For example, if you have to compare these two fractions, 1 over 3 and 1 over 10, some of you might be tempted to say that 1
I
over
can't
10 is
hear
bigger
it.
because you
All
know
right,
10 is
just
bigger than
watch
3,
it.
right? But we need to remember that the fraction is really a number written like a division problem, and its value depends on that division. So in this case, the 1 over 3 is really the bigger fraction because its decimal value, what you get when you divide, is 0.33333. But the value of 1 over 10 is only 0.1. Okay, so comparing fractions isn't quite as easy as comparing regular numbers, but that doesn't mean it's going to be that hard. We're going to learn two methods for comparing fractions that make it very easy. The first method is called cross-multiplying, and it takes advantage of the fact that it's easy to compare fractions with the same bottom numbers. If two fractions have the same bottom numbers, then we can just compare the top numbers. That's because we're comparing the same size parts. We're comparing fourths to fourths, eighths to eighths, tenths to tenths, and so on. And the top number just tells us how many of those parts we have. So it's easy to see that 5/8 is more than 3/8. But many times you'll have to compare fractions that have different bottom numbers or different sized parts. Fortunately, there's a trick we can do to make the comparison easy. In the Math Antics videos about common denominators, we learn a simple method for changing unlike fractions with different bottom numbers into like fractions with the same bottom number. Basically, it shows how you can multiply two unlike fractions by whole fractions made from the different bottom numbers, so you end up with the same bottom number. This will give you two new equivalent fractions that you can easily add, subtract, or compare.
Please
But
mute your
there's a
mics.
shortcut for comparing fractions. As long as we know that the bottom numbers of our fractions are the same, we don't really need to know what that number is. We just need to know what the top numbers will be, since those are the ones that we'll actually compare. So instead of multiplying each fraction by a whole fraction, we can just multiply the top number of each fraction by the bottom number of the other fraction. This is called cross-multiplying, because if you draw a diagram of what you're multiplying, it forms a crisscross pattern. After you cross-multiply, you'll have two numbers that would be the new top numbers if you had made like fractions, and those numbers will show you which fraction is greater. Let's try this cross-multiplying method on an example or two. Let's compare the fractions 7 over 8 and 4 over 5. We start by multiplying the second fraction's bottom number, 5, by the first fraction's top number, 7. And that gives us 35 for the new top number on this side. You'll always keep the answer on the side of the top number that you multiplied. Now for the other side. The bottom number, 8, times the top number, 4, gives us 32 for its new top number. Aha! Now it's easy to see that the fraction 7 over 8 is greater than the fraction 4 over 5 because its new top number, 35, is greater than the other new top number, 32. Let's do one more comparison by cross-multiplying. Let's compare 6 over 11 to 9 over 15. First, we'll multiply 15 by 6 to get the new top number of the first side, which is 90. Now you can always use a calculator to do the multiplications if you need to. Next, we multiply 11 by 9 to get the second new top number, which is 99. So that tells us that the second fraction, 9 over 15, is greater than the first fraction because its new top number, 99, is bigger. Pretty simple, huh? Okay, cross multiplying is pretty cool, but there's another way to compare fractions that you need to know about. But this one's only really good if you can use a calculator. Remember, the reason that fractions are tricky to compare is because they're really division problems. But if we want to, we can just do the division and get the answer, which is the decimal value of the fraction. So if you have two fractions to compare, you can just do the division, preferably using a calculator, and then compare the decimal values. For example, let's say I offered to give you either 5/12ths of a pizza or 7/15ths of a pizza. Now you happen to be really hungry, so you want to choose the biggest amount. But it's not very easy to tell just by looking which is bigger, 5/12ths or 7/15ths. This is where decimal values can really help you out. If you convert the fractions to decimals by doing division, it will make it much easier to see which one's bigger. 5 divided by 12 is about 0.42, and 7 divided by 15 is about 0.47. Yep, that makes comparing them much easier. Since 0.47 is greater than 0.42, it means that 7/15ths is greater than 5/12ths, and that means that you'd rather have 7/15ths of the pizza. Sometimes, when you compare fractions this way, you'll find two fractions that look different but have the same decimal value, like 3 over 8 and 15 over 40. If you convert each fraction to a decimal, you'll see that they both have the value 0.375. Two fractions that have different top and bottom numbers but the same value are called equivalent fractions. If two fractions are equivalent, then you can just use the equal sign to show the comparison between them, like this. All right, so those are two great methods you can use to compare fractions. Cross-multiplying is simple and works great, even if you don't have a calculator. And comparing the decimal values by dividing is easy if you do have a calculator. As always, practice makes perfect. So spend some time doing the exercises for this section, and I'll see you next time.
Learn more at mathematics.com.
We get it. You don't really want your kids watching videos.
All right. I know you couldn't hear it, but you could at least see it and get some idea of what it was talking about. So one of the things it's talking about is using the butterfly or the X factor to compare fractions. So looking at page 437, look at page 437. Okay, on page 437, we're going to start with number 3. Number 3 says 2/6, then it has the circle in the middle, and then it says 4/5. So this is what it looks like. 2 over 6 with the circle in the middle, 4 over 5. Okay, I'm going to do the X factor. So that means I'm going to multiply 2 times 5, and I'm going to put the answer above the 2. And I'm going to multiply 6 times 4, and I'm going to put the answer above the 4.
Miss Blackmon, I cannot see very good the whiteboard.
All right, which number is bigger, the 10 or the 24?
The 24.
The 24. So that means that this fraction, 4 over 5, is bigger. So I'm going to put my alligator where he's eating the bigger number. All right, let's look at the next one. Number 4 is 11 over 12. And then it's got a circle, and it's 9 over 8. Now I'm going to do the butterfly. So 8 times 11 is 88. 12 times 9, I don't know right off, so I'm going to work it down here. 12 times 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So I get 108.
108.
Okay, so which fraction is bigger?
9/8.
Yep, 9/8 is bigger. Comparing fractions is very easy as long as you know how to do this. All right, let's look at number 5. Number 5 gets a little trickier. Number 5 wants to know, of those fractions, which ones are less than 1/2? So, if I do 5/4 and then 1/2. Okay, so I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm just filling in the half for the 5/4. Okay, I cross multiply, so 5 times 2 is 10. 4 times 1 is 4. Is 5/4 bigger than 1/2? Is 5/4 bigger than the half?
Miss Blackmon? Yes. Yes.
Yes, it is. 5/4 is bigger than 1/2. So our question asks, is it less than 1/2? So would we circle 5/4? Is 5/4 less than 1/2?
No.
No, so you wouldn't circle it. Jasmine, what do you need, hon?
Can you explain number 3, please?
Number 3, you just do the X factor. 11 times 8 is 88. And 12 times 9 is 108. 88 is less than 108, so 9 times 8 is your bigger number. Or your bigger fraction.
Miss Blackmon?
Yes?
I didn't understand.
Huh?
I didn't understand.
Okay, I'm going to keep going over them. All right, so
Okay.
this one is bigger than 1/2, so I don't want to circle it. So let's look at the next one. 1/4 and 1/2. Okay? For those of you that aren't understanding, please watch. We're going to use the butterfly. So I'm going to multiply 1/2, and I get my answer. I put it up here. I'm going to multiply 1/4. I get my answer. I put it up here. Which one is bigger, the 1/4 or the 1/2?
The 1/2.
The 1/2. So the question said, circle the fractions that are less than 1/2. So is 1/4 less than 1/2?
Yes.
Yes, so you're going to circle that one. All right, let's look at 1/5. 1/5 and 1/2. Again, I'm just doing my butterfly method. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 5 is 5. Which one's bigger? Which one's bigger?
The 1/2.
The 1/2. The 1/2 is bigger. So is 1/5 less than 1/2?
Yes.
Yes, so you would circle it. All right, the next one. Same problem. We're still on number 5. So the next one was 2/3. So 2/3 and 1/2. Again, butterfly method. 2 times 2. I'm going to put my answer right here, 4. 3 times 1. Put my answer right here, 3. Which one's bigger? Which one's bigger?
2/3.
Yep, 2/3 is bigger because my number up here is bigger. So is 2/3 less than 1/2?
No.
No, it's more than, so I don't want to circle that one. All right, the next one. I have 2/12 and I have 1/2. Again, butterfly method. This is 4. This is 12. Which one is bigger? 1 half.
1 1/2.
1 1/2 is bigger. So, is 2/12 less than 1/2?
Yes.
Yes, so you would circle that. And then the last one on that number, on number 5, is 51/100 and 1/2. Again, butterfly. This would equal 102. This equals 100. Which one is smaller?
1/2.
1 1/2 is smaller. All right, so is 51/100 less than 1/2? No, so you wouldn't circle that one. All right, let's move to number 6. All right, number 6. It wants to know which fractions are greater than 1. This should be pretty easy. So 99/100. Can I divide that 100 into 99 and get 1?
No.
If I divide it like this, can I get a 1? No. So, is this greater than 1?
Yes.
No, because I can't get a 1.
Oh, no.
All right, let's look at the second one. 6/5. Is that greater than 1?
Yes.
Yes. Let me give you a hint, guys. Look, if your top number is bigger than your bottom number, it's greater than 1. Does that help? So if your top number is bigger than your bottom number, it's greater than 1. So is 6/5 greater than 1?
Yes.
Yes. Is 7/8 greater than 1?
Yes.
Is it?
No.
No, because the 7 is not bigger than the 8. You've got to look at the top number. If it's bigger than the bottom number, then the answer is yes. Okay? 14/8, is that greater than 1?
Yes.
Yes. 11/10, is that greater than 1?
Yes.
Yes. 11/12?
No.
No. All right. You know how to do 9 and 10 because we just did them. So do 9 and 10 very quickly. You're looking for those answers. Actually, do 9. You're looking for the answer that's greater than 1. Do number 9. Greater than 1.
Can it include 1 in it, or?
Yes. No, greater than 1.
Miss Blackmon,
Yes.
are we doing number 7 and 8?
No, right now we're doing number 9. Number
Okay.
9. That's the only one I want you to do right now is number 9.
All right.
All right, so is 5/4 greater than 1?
Yes.
Yes. Is 2/3 greater than 1?
No.
No. Is 6/6 greater than 1?
No.
No, it's equal to 1 but not greater than.
Okay.
Is 1/10 greater than 1?
No.
No. Is 15/12 greater than 1?
Yes.
Yes. Is 7/8 greater than 1?
No.
No. Sarah A., we're on page 437. All right, now we're going to go back to 7. Number 7, you want fractions that are less than 1/2. So you want less than 1/2. So if we put 3/4, put our circle, and 1/2. Okay, you're going to do the butterfly. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 4 is 4. Is 3/4 less than 1/2?
No. No.
No. Okay? So we'll move to the 1/6. 1/6 and 1/2. Butterfly. This is 2. This is 6. Is 1/6 less than a half?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And then keep going.
Closer.
Yes. Then keep going. I want you to do the 6/12, the 4/10, the 5/8, and the 5/2 by yourself real quick. You're looking for less than a half.
Miss Blackmon,
Yes.
I found an easier way you don't need the butterfly for.
That's fine.
Just split the bottom half in half, and that's the half of it, if it's higher or greater.
That will work on some of them, but not all of them.
I know.
All right, 6/12, we butterfly. This gives us 12. This gives us 12. So is 1/2 smaller than 6/12?
No.
No, it's equal to it. So I can't circle that one. All right, let's move to 4/10.
Yes.
I'm hearing a yes. Anybody else agree or disagree?
Yes.
Okay, let's check it. 4/10 and 1/2. I butterfly. This is 8. And this is 10. Is 4/10 less than a half?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, 5/8 and a half. Butterfly. I get 10. Butterfly. I get 8. Is 5/8 less than a half?
No.
No.
Oh.
And the last one, 5/2 and a half. I butterfly. I get 10. I get 2. Is 5/2 less than a half?
No.
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 All right, I want you to go ahead and start number 8. You're looking for those that are greater than a half. Greater than 1/2. Greater than 1/2. All right, the first one you had is 5/8 and 1/2. I butterfly. I get 10. And I get 8. Is 5/8 greater than a half?
Yes.
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 Now I move to 1/4 and a half. I butterfly. Is 1/4 bigger than a half?
No.
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 Next one, I get 6/3 and a half. I butterfly. 12 and 3. Is
Yes.
that bigger?
Yes.
Yes. The next one, I have 7/10 and a half. I butterfly. I get 14. Here I get 10. Is 7/10 bigger than a half?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, the next one is 5/12. So 5/12 and a half. I butterfly. I get 10. I butterfly here. I get 12. Is 5/12 bigger?
No.
No. The last one, 6/12 and a half. I butterfly. This gives me 12. This gives me 12. Is 6/12 bigger than a half?
No.
No, it's equal to it. It's not bigger than it. All right. Now I want you to move to number 10. Number 10. All right, number 10. Listen closely. When you're working these, If it is greater than a half, greater than 1/2, it is closer to 1. Okay? If it's less than 1/2, it's closer to 0. Let me say it again. If the fraction you're working with is greater than 1/2, it's closer to 1. If it's less than a half, it's closer to 0. So, 3/4. This is our first one on number 10. So 3/4 and 1/2. I butterfly. This is 6. And this is 4. Which one is bigger, the 3/4 or the 1/2?
1/2.
1/2.
3/4.
3/4 is bigger. 3/4 is bigger. It has a 6. This has a 4. So 3/4 is bigger than a half.
Miss Blackmon, how do you know which one to circle? The one closer to the 0 or the one closer to the 1?
Fractions closer to 0 than to 1. So I want the ones closer to 0. So since this is bigger than 1/2, whoever's humming, please stop. Since this is bigger than 1/2, is it closer to 0 or closer to 1?
Closer to 1.
Closer to 1. So do I want to circle that?
No.
No. I want the ones that are closer to 0. So let's do the next one. 1/8 and 1/2. I butterfly. I get 2. I butterfly. I get 8. Which one's closer? Which one's bigger?
1/2. 1/1.5.
1.5 is bigger. So since 1.5 is bigger, is 1/8 closer to 0 or 1? 0. So this would be one I would circle. Because it's closer to 0. Okay, 1/4 and 1/2. Butterfly, I get 2. The other butterfly, I get 4. Which one's bigger?
1/2.
1.5. So is 1/4 closer to 0 or 1? 0. So I would circle that one. All right, I want you all to do the last 3 by yourself very quickly. Do the last 3 on number 10. The last 3. So you have 7/5. You have 2/4. And you have 3/10.
Miss Blackmon,
Yes, ma'am.
this thing on your computers, it's still on the screen.
What?
When you showed us the video earlier?
It's still there?
Yeah. That's better.
All right. So, I go across, butterfly. This gives me 14. Butterfly here. This gives me 5. Butterfly here. This gives me 4. Butterfly here. This gives me 4. Butterfly here. This gives me 6. Butterfly here. This gives me 10. All right, so looking at the very first one, is 1/5 or 7/5 bigger? Is 1/5 or 7/5 bigger? Help me out, guys. Which one's bigger, the 14 or the 5?
Miss Blackmon, I accidentally left. What's that?
The 14 is bigger. So 7/5 is bigger than 1. Or bigger than... Okay, guys, turn your mics off. Unless I'm asking a question.
Okay.
All right, so 7/5 is greater than a half, which means 7/5 is closer to 1 or 0?
0. No, I'm in 1.
1. It's closer to 1, so do I want to circle it? No. All right, this one I got 4 and 4. That means they're equal. So do I want to circle that one? No. This one, 10 and 6. Which one is bigger, the 10 or the 6? The 10.
Wait, 10. Yeah,
The
10.
10. So 1/2 is bigger. So is 3/10 closer to 0 or 1?
0.
0. So I would circle that one. You didn't miss anything, Emma. All right. I want you to do 11 through 18 very quickly. We don't have much time, so do 11 through 18. 11 through 18. Use your butterfly. 11 through 18. Use the butterfly.
Today, do we have to send you pictures?
Yes. I'll go over that in just a minute. Right now, you need to be doing 11 through 18. If your mic's on, please turn it off.
Daniela, turn the mic off.
All right, looking at number 11. I know some of you probably aren't done. That's okay. We just need to go ahead and get done. 1 times 6 is 6. 3 times 4 is 12. Which one is bigger? The 12. So my alligator would eat the 4/6.
Blackmon, this is kind of easy. This is easy.
It should be. Okay, the next one. 4 times 4 is 16. 8 times 2 is 16. So that means they're equal. Okay, the next one. 7 times 8 is 56. 5 times 7 is 35. 56 is bigger than 35. So my alligator is going to eat my 7/5 because 7/5 is bigger. And number 14. 6 times 5 is 30. 4 times 12 is 48. 48 is bigger. So my alligator is going to eat my 4/5. All right, I'm just going to give you the answers on 15 through 18 because I don't have time to show them to you. Okay, number 15, it would have been 20 and 10. 20 is bigger, so 4/5 is bigger. So your alligator mouse should have been eating the 4/5 is greater than 2/5. The next one, you would have gotten 13/12. 13 over 12 is greater than 6 over 6. So your alligator would have been eating the 13 over 12. The next one, you would have gotten 8 times 8 is 64. 10 times 1 is 10. So 64 is greater than 10. So your alligator would have been eating the 8/10. So 8 over 10 is greater than 1 over 8. And number 18, you would have gotten 40 and 40. That means they're equal. They're equal. All right, please listen closely. Turn to the homework page, page 439. I'm going to give you some hints on page 439. You can go back and find fractions on the first page, on page 437, to answer questions 1 through 6. Number 1 wants fractions that are equal to a half. If you don't know fractions equal to a half, multiply 1/2 times 2 over 2. multiply 1/2 times 3 over 3, multiply 1/2 times 4 over 4. That'll give you fractions that are equal to 1/2. Number 2, you're looking for fractions that are less than 1/2. Number 3, you're looking for fractions that are greater than 1. Remember, I told you fractions that are greater than 1, the bigger number is on top of a smaller number. So any fraction, like 10 over 8, that is greater than 1. Okay, number 4, you're looking for fractions that are closer to 1. So you want them to be bigger than 1/2. Closer to 1, so you want them to be bigger than 1/2. We're on page 439. Number 5, closer to 0, so you want them to be less than 1/2. Less than 1/2, closer to 0. And number 6, greater than 1/2. Greater than 1/2. You need 3 fractions on each of those. So 3 fractions on number 1, 3 on number 2, 3 on number 3, 3 on number 4, 3 on number 5, and 3 on number 6. And then 7 through 18, you're just going to write in the circle if it's greater than, less than, or equal to. I do need a picture of this page when you finish it. So I need a picture of page 439. And when you finish your science test, I need a picture of that. Are there any questions? All right, guys, it's almost 11 o'clock, so you need to go to ELA. So if you do have a question, stay on and I will answer it for you. Otherwise, you can go. Did Nevaeh ever show up? Nevaeh. Bye. Nevaeh. Bye. Nevaeh, did you ever show up? Nevaeh. Okay, I guess Nevaeh never came in. Lillian, what's your question?
Bye, Miss Blackmon.
Bye.
Gonna be here at 12:30.
Today, yes, I should be.
Okay. Bye, Miss Blackmon.
Bye. See you later.